Where is that chick star boy chef? She's around.
Everybody just died. I wish Messi just dash me money now. You get Union Bank account? Cause me I hear say Union Bank they dash people 55 million naira inside this their new promo. So hey wait, 55 million naira now better collect it today. Oh, but they are so together.
That's right. Just save 10,000 naira or more monthly and stand a chance to win up to 5 million naira and other exciting prizes in the Save and Win Pilot Promo. Download the Union mobile app to open an account or visit the nearest Union Bank branch. Terms and conditions apply. Union Bank, your simpler, smarter bank. This is Smooth Breakfast. The Smooth Breakfast. The Smooth Breakfast Show. The Smooth Breakfast presents the headlines, the stories, the news. In-depth analysis on national current affairs. Freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1.
Union Bank, your simpler,
Mike's are up
smarter
to this
bank.
live. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. You're listening to Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life with Ayomiro Esse.
And Valentine Ohu. Good morning, everyone.
It's breakfast time, Smooth Breakfast. The segment is called Freshly Pressed 981. We'll bring you detailed analysis to today's headlines with Ugo Dre. Good morning, Ugo.
Hey, my man. Good morning.
Good
How are
morning.
you guys
Good
doing?
to see you. Fine.
Thank you.
We're doing well. I don't like that. You hit the
Ayo is looking at one beige today. So you guys are watching, you can see her.
Although they can't see your head today because the last time we were
Purposely covered it today. No seeing, no
But
grace.
they say that that's why you're full of wisdom.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
And welcome, Lakunle 70. Welcome to the show.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Valentine. Good morning, Ayo.
You need to prove your wisdom to us because we can't see the obvious.
Evidence.
Maybe next time I'm here, I would have applied some grey dye.
It's not the original. It can never be the original. But to join the conversation today, besides the jokes and the fun, there are serious stories to look at. Please send in your comments to WhatsApp 0809 444 0981.
You can also watch us live on YouTube. We're streaming live youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. You can use the chat box to send us your message and share your thoughts on today's stories. Talking about today's stories, we go straight to our first one here, and I'll start with you, the wise one, Ugo. Delta variant, Buhari removes mask in public, flouts COVID-19 regulations from the Punch newspaper. You know, reading this headline, I was saying to Valentine earlier on that it's very sensational. You know, in other climes, it's a big deal because the president is the number one. He said is seen to be the number one role model, especially in terms of adhering to regulations, laws, especially at a time like this where we have a pandemic and the Delta variant that was announced a few days being detected in Nigeria. What is the implication of this? You know, why is this important as a headline? Why does he need to wear a mask if he's feeling uncomfortable?
Good question, Ayo. I think that as a president, right, and leader of the country, you are expected, to comply with the rules and regulations that, your own government has set. So if your government has said that wearing masks in public places is something that everyone must do, then I believe that as a leader of the country, you have to comply with that, and you have to lead by example by also wearing masks, particularly in public places. Is the story sensational? Perhaps a little bit. If you look at the article itself online, you'd see him walking into the session with a mask. He was wearing his mask on. And then at some point, he took the mask off. So there was a picture of him and I think the vice president and the leader of the Speaker of the House of Rep, and they were all wearing masks and he wasn't wearing. There was another picture of him, on the high table or something, and every other person was wearing a mask, and he wasn't wearing a mask. So that, in a nutshell, is, look, are you basically saying that, if everybody's wearing a mask and I'm not wearing a mask, then that's okay, right? Or is a mask meant for, different category of people, and perhaps maybe if you're a leader or a president, you can wear a mask. So you tend to send multiple messages, and that's why this is a challenge. Now, on health grounds, I don't think the CDC has actually updated its own guidelines since maybe February. I'm not sure that they have, because if you read from the U.S. CDC, which basically is, the flagship, disease control unit, in the world, they did put out, you know, an update sometime in June or so, and they claim that if you have taken the vaccine, the full dose of the vaccine, then you can relax on social distancing rules. You don't need to wear a mask, and all that. But of course, they put a caveat as well. It all depends on whatever regulations exist wherever you are, right? So in Nigeria, like I said, the NCDC, I'm not aware that they've updated since February. So as it stands, Valentine, if you go out, if you go to a wedding, don't think you're a president. Wear your mask.
I will.
Even if you've taken your vaccine, full
Even if
dose of
I've taken
vaccine.
both
I mean, I
doses.
do think, like yesterday, I was at a function, and my wife was behind me, and I took my mask off because I was tired. Because I actually don't like masks. I just took it off. Like, geez. And then she was behind me, and my phone just buzzed. I knew it was her. I was like, Delta. All she just typed was Delta variant. I'm like,
Wow.
oh, please. We took this vaccine together and all that. So everybody around me was wearing a mask. So, I mean, I can understand the frustration in
Yes.
wearing a mask. But as a president, I think that was wrong. I don't know if there's been any explanation for that out there. I also don't know whether he's even taking the vaccine as well. So, because, you see presidents across the world, taking the vaccine and taking
He's actually
pictures.
taking it.
Oh, he's taking.
Taking
All right, good,
pictures.
good. So,
Yes, he has.
all right,
Yes.
so that's good. So I guess perhaps if you look at it from a medical point of view, I mean, I think most Center of Disease Controls around the world, if you've taken the full dose of vaccine, I think social distancing rules are basically relaxed. It's just that in Nigeria, I'm not aware that the NCDC has amended its own rules and
Yes.
regulations.
Ugo, you're right by saying, I mean, he should adhere. And first of all, he set up a committee that's called the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19.
Yes.
Presidential.
Yes.
Right? It's not, as a president, you should walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Because
Correct.
people follow your body language and actually perceive it even stronger than what you say, right?
Yeah.
As you're talking about, I was just referring to text messages. I received them back to back within minutes of each other. WHO sent one, said you can reduce your risk of being infected with COVID-19, help prevent the spread, learn how to blah, 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 with no data and all that. And then shortly after, I got an NCDC SMS that said, hashtag take responsibility, wear a mask in public places, wash your hands with soap under running water, and avoid contact with others if you feel ill. The first line, wear a mask. in
That's what I'm
public
saying,
places.
Valentine. So they haven't
They are not
updated.
up-
They haven't.
So, I mean,
so
should, should we take the president's disposition as an update?
No. That's that's why I was careful. I said, look, the fact that they haven't updated, right?
yeah.
So it is wrong. No, but we're not making excuses here. It is wrong. You should wear a mask because that's your rules. That's what you've said,
Yeah.
right? But medically, that's why I try to qualify medically, right? From a medical point of view, if you fully vaccinated, most CDCs around the world tell you can relax on social distancing rules. Now, but they also put a caveat and they tell you, look, it all depends on what exists in your states. In the US, for example, I don't think the US is a perfect example of a CDC you want to follow, though, right?
not.
But if you check for most of the countries, they do have those rules, kind of relaxed. Now, there's also, I don't know if this is fully fact-based here, but I've read reports as well that if you're fully vaccinated, right, very limited chances, I think maybe less than 1%, that you can actually get COVID-19. There has been cases of people who are vaccinated that have gotten it, right? Now, but the limited chances. But the challenge is that most times you're asymptomatic, so which means perhaps maybe you can.
You're carrying it.
So it
can
means
carry
that
it.
you can.
But it hasn't really been
You
proven.
can contract it, but you don't present very severe
Symptoms or
to the
risk
point
to
of death,
people,
and that's
yeah.
but you still pose a risk to people who are not vaccinated.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important, because if you look at the numbers of people who, we understand that compared to the numbers of people who have taken the vaccine, there are many more who haven't. And that leads us very nicely to our next story on Unilag shutting student hostels indefinitely and suspends on-site classes as a result of a spike in the number of students who have presented symptoms of COVID-19. I think it's instructive to mention that they haven't been tested. So according to this report, at least what they have identified are those who have come presenting symptoms. Now, the reason why I am highlighting that, because they closed it to the immediate effect and said, so it was announced yesterday, and by today, by 12 noon, they say that students would not have access to their hostels. Now, this is interesting because what happens then to someone who wasn't tested, is positive, takes public transport home,
Thank you.
gets their family members, or travels to Borno State or Imo State, because of course we know not all students live or in Lagos, and infects them. So I don't know. Yes, I do understand that there is a case of emergency and a case to be careful, but was this the best way to handle it? Why were they not tested? Why were they not put in isolation? Were they told that when they go to their homes, because they might be exposed or have been exposed, that they should be in isolation for a certain number of time? So I just want to ask questions around this. It's not enough to shut down a school, but to understand the impact it would have on the wider society. Please take us through this, Lakuni.
I think that the questions you've raised have actually done justice to the question, to the matter already. If I have family in Unilag who I've spoken with yesterday, and two of them, one of them said that in his hall, the 30 people exhibited those symptoms. So the first question I then ask is, so sending everybody home, is that the best thing? In a standard or in a better procedure would have been cordon off the whole university community, have everybody in there tested, isolate, prevent other people from coming in, right? That should have been the first thing to be done, of course, but you can guess that the university authorities were thinking, who is going to carry the cost of the tests? And I'm sure that's their first concern.
Yes.
Really, but really, the first thing to have been done should have been cordon off the university, declare an emergency in there. Every staff, every student, everybody who's been in that university since the first one was presented should have been mandatorily tested inside the campus right there, and they should have isolated for the standard 14 days.
Yes.
So that we're sure. Now, like you said, they've closed the university. People that I know came home yesterday. Let's assume that one of the two that I know is infected. He's going to go to Ibadan. His parents are in Ibadan. So he gets home, he infects his dad, his mom, his other siblings.
And how is he getting home?
He's
Does
going
he
to go
have
by
a car?
public transport. So he's probably exposed those people in the same bus or car with him to Ibadan with it. So the multiple effects of what has happened is now where the real issue is. Even now, it's not even a guarantee that other things will be done. Okay, so you send the students home. What happened to the lecturers who are residents inside the school? Are you sending them out as well? What are the other steps taken? The report just spoke to us about students. It hasn't said anything about what they will then do. Okay, the students are out. Are you fumigating the hostels? Are you doing this? They only said, okay, students, you are going home. Then lectures will go online. Here in this studio, remember we've spoken about what did we do since last year when we first had the first lockdown with respect to our educational institutions taking the advantage to upgrade, to find opportunities to take part of their activities online. So this is another chance for you like to pioneer that. Okay, so you say 26th. When you say they are going online, what platforms? I hope it's not WhatsApp and Telegram that they are talking about. I hope it's something
No, luckily, let's give them some credit.
no, there shouldn't be half measures in this thing, because once you get it right now, it then takes away a lot of pressures on the infrastructure that we all complain about in the school. It means that you can accommodate double the number you have today. Half will be offline, the other half will be online, and then you can have more people. It can be cheaper for you to administer education in the school, for the school itself and for the students, which means that some don't have to worry about transportation to school every day
Excellent.
or hostel accommodation. They can be in wherever and
That
get
like that, yeah.
and get a university degree from any university anywhere. So that's the thing that I would expect the university should be looking towards now, aside from the what I think was not the adequate way to have reacted to it.
Yes. Excellent.
Reaction well noted, thank you. But let's also remember that on the 13th of June 2020, the heads of tertiary institutions and Professor Chukwemeka Nwajuba, Federal Minister of Education, outlined the measures needed to be taken by all institutions as conditions for reopening. And among them were to put together, to make sure that you have in place hand washing facilities, body temperature checks, and body disinfectants at all points of entry. What am I driving at? I want to ask, I mean, we can address it, right? Or we will probably just ponder on it. The fact that this is happening, is it not a reflection of the lack of preparedness or adhering to these policies on the part of the universities?
Yeah.
When
Isn't it a signal of a failure in adhering to these policies handed down?
well, would I say it's a failure as well? We just talked about the president
You're asking
taking
the
off.
students to pack up and go home.
That's what we just talked about the president
Yeah.
taking off his mask,
Yeah.
for example, in public when the procedure says wear mask in public places. So it's the same thing. I know for a fact that like had washing whatever
At some
and all
point.
that at every point in the school. I know that for a fact. I've been there
Yeah.
during the process, so I know that.
Yeah.
So it's now the compliance, the people. Do we comply? Do we wear the mask?
Yeah.
Do we do the hand washing? So we the people ourselves probably just deliberately exposed ourselves to these things, and then the result is what we're seeing.
Thank you. The reason why we are emphasizing on this is because we do not want another shutdown of the economy. I don't think Nigeria can afford to have it.
Definitely
and the
we cannot.
responsibility is not just with the president, every single one of us. So we can, the president can make headlines for not wearing his mask, but we see pictures on a daily basis. Taiwo sends a message about Unilag just having their convocation, which is a super spreader event. If you see all the pictures, or most pictures, you'd hardly find anyone wearing a face mask. So imagine what has happened. I mean, anyways, it doesn't.
There were
bear
just
48
48 new cases yesterday, though.
How many
48.
How many?
cases?
48.
Because they're not tested. So we can understand why the numbers are low, despite the alarm, because they're not tested.
And don't forget, over 9,000 passengers are untraced because they provided fake
The
numbers.
fake numbers and that.
find
So
addresses.
it just underscores the irresponsibility of us, the people,
Yeah.
ourselves.
And then
Right.
Lagos State government the other day says just 1% that got the vaccine.
Yeah.
One.
Wow.
1%. All right. Let's move on very quickly. EFCC launches app for online reporting of economic crimes. That's the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Wednesday, called Eagle Eye. I think what caught my eye
Pun intended.
is the fact that it's the anonymity it gives people. A number of people are scared of reporting because of the backlash they fear, and this guarantees the fact that you'll be fully you can be fully anonymous if you choose to be.
Yeah, I mean, I read it and I was like, okay, so what's going on here? So I did download the app myself just to try it out. Right? This is basically what it looks like. So, and yeah, they're right. Yeah, so you distracted by my phone. You're right. So you do. So basically, you get into the app. It gives you all the regular things you expect. Upload your picture. Where you are, maybe state or local government, because they do need a location, and then maybe like a description of what the issue is, and then
That's a
yeah,
problem.
no description of what
Back
if
end.
you have to write about it, and then there is an optional, optional for you to now type in your name, your phone number, your email address.
Okay, it's optional.
Right, it's optional. Yeah, it's right there, written boldly as optional. So I mean, it's good that government agencies are moving in digital space. It's encouraging, and they do also make it boldly known that this does not in any way replace the need for writing petitions, right? So if you do have petitions you want to write, you can still go ahead and write. This is not for petition. This is just for, if I see Valentine, taking bribe now or doing something,
I would
I can just snap Valentine and just like, all right, see, Valentine is.
Very cute
I guess the thing is, I don't know how many of these cases they can treat. I mean, because and then how do you determine which one is authentic, which one is not? People are just messing around with your app and all that. So, but it's a good step in the right direction. I think that they're probably, to me, I would think they're probably 2 or 3 years away from having a very robust app that can help move, reduce corruption from a digital point of view. But it's a good step in the right direction. I will encourage other agencies to do this, particularly Nigerian police. They should be doing things like this and leading it. And I don't think they have anything close to this. And if there's anybody who needs this, it's Nigerian police.
the
We need to
police.
be able to report policemen who are taking bribes. You can take their pictures and we will snap them and put it there and send to them.
Very nice.
Excellent.
Right? Yeah.
Although you can pull out your phone, that's traffic stops. At 7:49, let's
At least somebody can be somewhere doing it.
You're listening to Freshly Pressed 981.
Union
Sorry.
Bank, your simpler, smarter bank.
Welcome back. Let's go ahead with more stories. Actually, we have to take some messages. Nedu says for Unilag public institutions, public institutions should have been told what to do when they experience this sort of things. They can't leave everyone to act as they see fit. Other countries have their prime minister giving weekly updates.
So true. All right, final. From here, Guardian, fuel subsidy thieves threaten my life. Talk about corruption, luckily. Former Minister of Finance and Economy under Goodluck Jonathan, as well as President Olusegun Obasanjo, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, mentioned some of the things that she faced when she was trying to sanitize the subsidy sector of the oil, well, subsidy part of the oil sector, including threats to her life. And these are some of the reasons why we say that corruption continues to thrive, because for those who even have the will to do it, their lives are being threatened. They don't have the protection that they should get. What do you have to say about this claim?
We know that subtly or in real time, these things happen. We were here when the late Dora Akunyili was actually shot at while she was DG of NAFDAC. So we know for a fact that these things happen, because now this is part of the history of Nigeria that posterity will judge some people, whether for good or for bad, especially those people who idealize this subsidy thing. Now, the issue now is that, okay, maybe at that time it was necessary. At some point in that time in the past as well, it was something that we should have ended very quickly, as quickly as we started it.
Yeah.
But we allowed it to fester, and then it became some form of free rent for some people. And you are now saying you want to cut it off after they are now comfortable, they have enough money to even fight government itself. So it's something that we imagine that in 5 years, she left government in 2006, it was 2 billion. She came back in 2011, that's about 5 years. It was $11 billion. Don't forget then that exchange rate of 2 billion had changed as at time it was 11 billion. So it was costing more. Today, somebody said it was costing us 150 billion naira a month or something. 2 weeks ago, I can't remember the exact amount the person called. Subsidy. Yes. So look at the numbers now. So unless we do something decisive about that subsidy, we need to take it off, take our eyes off it. Let all of us face the brunt of it. How come is it that the subsidy is more important to us than making ordinary 4 refineries work?
So the us here now is subjective, because it's very clear by this statement that there are some parts of us that don't want the rest of us.
Absolutely. That's why even the government itself will come to you and tell you in justifying subsidies, they will, in wanting to cancel subsidy, they will say that it is the rich people that benefit from it because they have 10 cars, you have none. So they are,
quotes.
exactly. So you see that everybody is making excuses for this thing to continue to fester. But we need to take our eyes off it and face the real thing. Get our refineries to work so we don't have to do this subsidy thing. Let's sell at the prices that whatever it is. Nigerians are resilient. Yeah, that's what they say about us.
Yeah. So when you say us, we, they, I'm just putting air quotes in my head.
Nigerians, yes.
If I can chime in here, Valentine. To be fair, let's also understand that it's still us that is still against removal of fuel subsidy.
Because us
Right.
are complaining that
Yes, us are complaining that look, we can't pay 200 naira plus on fuel because the government, which is them, have actually, tried to remove fuel subsidy several times. So it's still us that goes out with placards saying no to removal of fuel subsidy. So at the end of the day, it's still us that will determine how us will.
I love that.
I agree 100% with you because it's us.
Yes, please.
Right, Nat from Ikorodu says Nigeria Police has the Rescue Me app.
Oh,
How many
oh,
Nigerians
yeah?
know about this? How many people have actually
Never
used the
heard of
Rescue
it.
Me app? Exactly.
How many people have data?
If you create an app, I would want to imagine that you would create enough awareness.
And
so
when
people
this
know
was
it's
created, I'll
available.
check it out. Rescue me.
Yeah.
Well, rescue me like how? That's not what I want. Report police. Report crime. Report thieves.
This feels like Feel Good Friday, but let's move on. The House of Representatives have passed the bill which seeks to create National Council on Climate Change. And I had to check again. It's Nigeria, guys. This was sponsored by Honorable Sam Onugbu. He said the bill was passed by the 8th National Assembly, but let's recall that the president had initially rejected it based on some clauses that he cited were being contentious. But what are your thoughts on this, Ugo?
Yeah, not too much in here, Valentine, so I'm not going to take too much time. I mean, climate change bills have been passed across the world, and,
Yes.
and that's understandable. We've seen accords, signed by countries, around the world because climate change is quite important, and we've seen the devastating effect that it can have, particularly even here in Nigeria. I was driving past the Bar Beach yesterday, and I could see,
In that region.
yeah, the water basically also, gradually getting closer to the road. So climate change is real. But in terms of the story itself, this bill was presented, I think, 2 years ago, 2019 or so,
Yes.
and Buhari did reject it. And he rejected it because, if I can recall, he said that, it was basically just overbloating government and duplicating the rules that the Federal Ministry of Environment also currently does. But, a lot of the things that he cited as a reason for rejecting the bill, I kind of think is still
They're
what is
still
in
there.
here, even though the sponsor of the bill, what's his name, is Honorable Sam Onugbu, did claim that they had addressed those
He
issues.
said
But
they reviewed.
yeah, but then he's still saying that they're going to set up a council of a climate change council made up of the president, the vice president, and people. I'm like, this is just a lot more bureaucracy. Yes, I know climate change is very important, but this just seems like a lot more bureaucracy, and I don't think that he had addressed the issues that Buhari raised. Perhaps maybe just the way the story was reported. But I mean, when this thing was put forward, he was in PDP. So
Now
if you
he's in
recall,
APC,
he
so
decamped to
he speaks in
APC.
the same
So
language?
yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
because he said he's worked with Malami and the rest of them. So
Wow. Thank you for that.
you get it.
Yeah. Very clearly understood.
Right, Ty from Ikorodu says it's all well and good to pontificate about what should happen in an ideal situation, but one COVID test costs 50,000 naira. Multiply that by the number of students and lecturers and see if Unilag's annual budget is up to that.
I know. Wow. It's far. Let's move on to this next one on tax. Now, tax credits. The Federal Executive Council on Wednesday approved the award of a contract to Dangote Industries for the construction of 5 roads totaling 274.9 kilometers at a cost of 309.9 billion naira to be advanced to the company as tax credit. This rings a very familiar bell, but Lakmina, I'll let you touch on this one.
My personal opinion, I think that doing this, maybe our infrastructure, quest for infrastructural growth and efficiency would improve. If we use the Apapa or Oshoke Expressway as a case study, the construction was started, I think, 2017 or thereabout, and about now is almost completed. So we can guess that it means that if these kind of things are done, the monies that they are advancing to such organizations, but what will be efficiently used and the infrastructure will be delivered on time. So I want to assume that these 5 roads, 274.9 kilometers, will be delivered faster than if it was a bid, contract, blah, blah, blah. We can see what's happening on Lagos Ibadan Expressway. Almost 20 years, we are still at it. Okay, so I think that is one. Then I also like to also say that other organizations should approach the government with such proposals as well. They should not limit it to Dangote alone, so that it doesn't look like it's Dangote that is getting, because you hear people say that why is it Dangote alone that is getting everything? Others who can afford it should
It
also
still
do
goes
the
to the
same
news
thing.
now.
Exactly. But then, to be fair, this invitation was tendered to all companies, regardless. That was about 2-3 years ago.
So they should do
The
it.
Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, had said it and invited public companies to bid for these road projects and gave this tax credit as an option to everybody who.
So they should
was
do
willing
it
to
so
come
that
forward.
we have these things, and they also can take advantage of the tax, because of course it means that their tax gets discounted. Exactly.
And let's remember that this tax credit, I think it was the Jonathan administration that actually, Jonathan signed that bill, or I don't know whether it was an EO or whether it was a bill. And I'm not also sure whether it's been, because I did remember it had a lifespan rather, but it's a good initiative. And at that time, it was basically done for the private sector to also show, to get involved in funding, road development projects across the country, and then they get tax credit for it. So, well, like we said, anyone who's done it, please be in the news. Let's hear it. Shouldn't always be done with the
It was part of a PPP policy, public-private partnership.
Partnership,
Policy, yes,
correct.
at the time. Davis from Ikoyi sent this one. He says,
Val, I heard you say you can take a picture at their checkpoint as they're taking bribe and send to the authorities. Don't know when last you traveled long distance by road on public transport. If you attempt to do that, your phone will be seized and the vehicle will be delayed.
Yes.
I heard it's their rule, including the army.
Davis, I said can't. I didn't say can.
Lanre Adelanwa Bazamta on YouTube has a number of things to say about the Unilag issue. He says that the money would not make sense to them in terms of they can't afford it. However, convocation some weeks ago was simply an irresponsible move. Really sad that educated minds could discountenance science in such a brazen manner.
I want to especially thank you, Lakunle. Lakunle70 is his handle on social media. Ugo Dre is at Ugo Dre. You can't miss him. He's the wise one. You can find him on Instagram and Facebook, and the other one at Ugo Dre. And Ayo Mairese is at Ayo Mairese on all platforms. And I'm Valentine.
And Valentine on all platforms.
Good morning.
Union Bank, your simpler, smarter bank.
Thank you.